You guys don't know, the feds today raided Puffy's location in Miami, as well as the location in Los Angeles. They also got a search warrant for the New York as well. I'm not sure what Puffy is right now. Sean Combs, also better known, but there's a lot of information out there. This stems from being across borders. So this is not just like a state case. Homeland Security is involved in this. They got the SWAT team involved. There are multiple search warrants on multiple locations throughout the United States because the case now has moved on. So a lot of these civil cases that went on with Sean Puffy Combs, even though he made it settle with Cassidy, the recently one that came up with the gentleman by the name of Rodney, all these cases are producing and have caused effect where, let's look at it economically. I think sometimes most people may not realize this, but let's look at this economically. You have a business, several businesses, they're LLCs that are put in a civil case that he operates and he functions underneath. At the same time, he has multiple locations. He, and this including, I'm not going to be surprised if the U.S. Virgin Islands is rated next. The U.S. Virgin Islands, he has a location there as well. That's part of the United States. The Fed's probably already working through cross-personation. So, I mean, so we're looking at a live stream of what's going on right now, and this is my reaction to it. Just quick, just hear my reaction.
And I have no internet, so I can't even really answer your questions or even find out
This is an overhead view
what's been going on.
of the
But
raid at
yeah,
Puffy's house.
piece of property that was owned or is owned by P Diddy or Sean Combs. I don't know him well enough. I'm going to call him Mr. Combs.
All right, we
And
call P
Hathaway
Diddy. He's called P
Entertainment
Diddy.
production company. So apparently there is some sort of investigation ongoing involving him, and they had Homeland Security of all things come out here today in force, armored vehicles. These guys dressed like in their full best tactical gear, weapons, night vision goggles, all the whole thing. Drones were flying, and
Let me pause for a second here. What makes this very interesting, this is a live feed right now happening in Los Angeles that they're raiding his house there, is to have an understanding here. This has now moved beyond just civil cases. Whenever Homeland Security get involved and we now dealing with criminal and we talk about multiple sex trafficking cases, this is going to be probably even more similar to, but a little bit worse for the minorities, and I say African Americans, because in this perspective, this is going to be multiple states of sex trafficking. So once the feds get involved and they start doing this, you're not going to see no type of settlement. See, that's the benefit of it. A civil suit, they can freeze your assets, they could do some things to make your life a miserable hell on a state level. But when the feds get involved, we're just gonna amp that on up because this is looked at now like the same trumped up charges. Because you got to realize, as a business, here's a couple things. Now that the feds are involved, there are a lot of people economically. So I want to take it from the business approach. Economically, there are going to be a lot of people that's affected. Let me just be very clear. All the drug people, everybody who's buying drugs from these drug people, the people who were selling him his cocktail of pink that's in the indictment with Rodney, that was recently filed in the month, was about a month ago. That was back in January, February, after the Casey files, the gentleman who was worked on his new Love album, he filed the civil case in New York City. Now, one of the things you're going to have to understand about that civil case is that he listed a lot of information, a lot of photos, and it was a lot of information that he put up there that really exposed the fact that Puffy didn't decide to pay him. All this over the fact of the matter that for years he'd been able to get away with just kind of sniping people, not paying them. And they lawyered up. They did the thing that they thought was best for them, lawyered up, put it out there, and now the Fed's involved. So this can get very complicated quickly economically. All the drug dealers that was making over $1 million a year off payroll. He already started with Young Miami. He already cut her off of payroll. So she's now been taking care of her own rent anyway, the house in Miami. But this takes it up though. So anything that's involved with him, you don't think Young Miami is gonna be dragged in this? You don't lost your mind. I mean, Meek Mills, his other powder puff, he's gonna be dragged into this. Any properties associated with Sean Combs and he having access to it, the feds are going to go through a whole lot of the data that's out there. If they got anything that he used the internet, anything that he moved from one person that he paid him in New York and flew them down to the islands or to Florida, this is about, or California, this is going, because it's got interstate trafficking associated with this. So let's continue. That way you guys get to understand what's going on.
property that you see right there. Now, early on, they took what we counted 6 people out of the home, out of this property. Now there's actually 3 buildings here. You've got the main house right there. Then you've got this other one that I would almost call a back house, or maybe the pool house or guest house. And then you have a smaller one that's actually behind some trees right over. I would almost venture to say that that one, again, I don't know. You know, who knows what they're using it for? I'm just venturing to guess. But you have another residence over here with a hot tub in the back. Maybe that's actually on somebody that's living on site. That's a caretaker. I don't know. But they got in and almost right out the box, they got 6 people in custody.
6 people. Now, here's going to be an interesting thing. There's 6 people in custody at that location. That's part of this investigation. Now, they may be released on their own recognizance, but let me just explain to you. If there is anybody in that house that happened to be a female or a male that is currently being used as a sex off, this is the time you're going to hear a lot of people. It's going to be over the next 24 hours. There's going to be what we like to call a cloud of smoke that's going to be out there to really let us know what's going on with Sean Combs. Where is he at right now? They already got a search warrant for New York. They got a search warrant for already. They hit his house in LA. They hit his house in Miami, and they got the search warrant for New York. His location's in New York. So depending on where he is, those search warrants, he could be on site at one of them. He might have been one of the 6 people that pulled out. But I'm thinking that right now, because all within the last hour and a half to 2 hours, this information is coming out. So eventually we're gonna hear where he is. If not, he already got his lawyers. He's at his lawyer's office in real time, just like you watching this, I'm watching this. He's watching it as well. Let's get back into it.
People actually out of not the Range Rover, not the Range Rover. That's the first thing they did. They opened up that gate, got in there, and they popped the doors on the Range Rover. They came out of there. They came out of there. I don't know why. I know it's a garage. I have no information. I'm just talking about what we saw when we got here. And one by one, they took them, and everybody got cuffs to begin with. And then they started taking off the cuffs, and some were still cuffed. But arrested, I wouldn't use that word. I would say in custody. They had them over here. They were talking to them.
Now keep that in mind. So just so we're very clear, they had him in custody. Basically, they were detained. Some of them got out of the handcuffs. They basically means they no longer was going to detain him, but they got the information though. So this should be, as the news continue to break, more information will be coming out. But overall, let me just be very clear at this particular point. Everyone must understand that there's going to be a lot of information that's going to come out, but this is just the second point of the investigation. You guys may say the investigation already has started. And I'm pretty sure this already has started with Cassidy's case. If they already had like some things on the back burner for Puffy, and they were like, well, we just gonna hold off, we're gonna hold off. We already got a case on him. We already opened up the investigation on him. They were just looking for what we like to call, the smoking gun. And they got enough information between Rodney's case and the shooting in LA. And that's another thing. You got to remember, during Rodney's case, there was a shooting at a recording studio, and it was Sean John and his son in the bathroom. And originally they said it was a drive-by shooting. Now it's been come out through collaborating through Rodney that hey, they weren't no drive-by. Sean Puffy and his son was actually in the bathroom with him and shot the dude, and the dude's name was G. So we know now that there are 6 people that was detained that was at the house. One of these 6 people gonna start talking like a pig. I don't think it's the amount of money at this particular point that Sean, John, or that was his brand, but Puffy's going to be able to, Sean Combs going to be able to get out of this. But let's continue. See what else we can find on this live stream.
Taking pictures of them, just talking, and then they put them all in a vehicle, and they have since left the scene. Now, I don't know who they were.
Put them all in the vehicle. I mean, somebody going to start snitching now. So if you want to call somebody a rat, or you got to figure out which one of them 6 people in there.
Property management, who knows? I honestly could be the pool guy for all I know. But at any rate, we saw that.
We're going to find out 24 hours who they put in custody. Because some people are going to be released and going to be media right there talking about it in the LA County.
You're the main building. And I got you on the IFB there if you're hollering at me. So they made their way in there, and it was one of those things. It's like to talk about it on television is a little different than on the internet. One of the main concerns for law enforcement is in a situation like this. So let's say somebody's on that property, you know, who knows who this person is, but they see armed people coming in through the gates. They don't have any idea what's going on. They don't know that's law enforcement. They don't know that for all they know, that could be robbers. And so somebody could be hiding in one of these rooms inside here. And that
at this time, it doesn't seem like Puffy's there, so he ain't hiding it.
They have to secure the building, is what I'm saying, because you don't want to have investigators doing their investigation in like 4 hours from now and have somebody kick open a door with a gun and start, you know, like, who are you guys? Pop, pop, pop. You don't, you know, and it sounds like I'm poking fun at it, but really, truly, that is the scenario that they're needing to avoid. So that was one of the reasons why it is taking.
Every one of his neighbors got a bird eye view what's going on in that yard. I mean, I know the fence line is pretty much heavy, like he got heavy foliage around the property.
But this isn't like somebody said, hey, I heard, you know, Sean's got this and this and this and this, or Mr. Diddy or Mr. Combs, you know, has got something going on, and they're just like, hey, let's mount up and ride. There was a lot going on before this actually happened.
Yeah, it was a lot of information.
Raid. There's also, we understand that they raided his home in Miami as well.
Yeah, let's look at that. Let's look at that. You know what?
Exactly, they're looking for. I'll be very honest about that.
They're looking for the video. You know, he got sex tape. They're looking for that.
Sean Combs. And, so I honestly don't have any of those kind of components. All I can tell you is right now, this is in the Holmby Hills area. That's his home that you see right there.
Butcher in Miami,
now
boy.
it has a command post out front, and that command post belongs to Homeland Security. You have a number.
Let's look at this. Look at his Miami house right here live.
Who are we?
Let's look at see exactly what's going on. They raiding his house in Miami. Let's get that feed up going here. Right there. So, I mean, we see multiple locations. It's breaking news. We know that there were 6 people at the house in LA. How many people are at the house here? We do see some of the agents on the front porch of the house in Miami. The reason for the raid in general is because the feds are involved on multi-state sex trafficking charges. You got Homeland Security involved. We can see that there's photos. Look, they got something right there in that box. They're looking at some information that they got out of so they're looking at something there. I'm not particularly sure. This is going to just be a straight up feed that we're not going to actually have, but it's allegations of sex trafficking, assault, drug possessions, and illegal firearms. So you know you got the I tell you, for him, this is the day that he was hoping never came. If he's in the U.S. Virgin Islands, I'm pretty sure that that's going to be the next hop off. The next raid that's going to take place is going to be in the U.S. Virgin Islands. That's a house located there, and any apartments that he have, they're going to raid that as well. And for anyone out there that may not understand, this raid is not just like, oh, we got it. They were waiting for the smoking gun, and they were able to probably get somebody that tipped them off with the last thing they needed in order for them to execute multi-state raids on P Diddy's housing locations. Interesting enough, like I said before, a lot of people are going to be affected. Drug dealers are going to be affected. Strippers are going to be affected. Now, you may say what I mean by that, because economically, they actually, again, this may sound harsh, but let me just be honest. Anybody who is currently right now that has been on payroll, who's been receiving money from rappers to strippers to the people who he buys the drugs for, the people who help him buy the drugs. I'm pretty sure in this raid, they got a multiple people named because Rodney, in his recent civil case in New York City, listed how many people and had photos of, you know, Young Miami is right down there in Miami, as I mentioned earlier. But at the same time, if they're, you know, every collaborating conversation that they have, you know,
I know you guys are going to take me at
it's definitely, but I'm gonna go ahead and let him go ahead and speak so you guys can actually hear this.
Let me know if you take me earlier.
You know, unfortunately, this is history for in the making at this time, because just like the Epsteins, just like anyone else who was doing any type of activities, that drugs, forcing women unknowingly. I mean, if you don't think Bill Cosby case You don't think R. Kelly case was mainstream? Guys, this is going to be way bigger than the R. Kelly. This is going to be way bigger than, even though we know he's now legally considered blind, Bill Cosby. This is going to be big. I'm telling you, a lot of information going to come out. Some of you may be shocked, appalled, but for them to go and raid this many places, I'm just going to tell you like this. They got enough information. They're going to get him locked up. We know R. Kelly's locked up. We know that Bill Cosby got locked up on cases that they brought back up. Well, this, P Diddy, there's been confirmed that he actually did shoot someone. I mean, he's been able to kind of skate it with Shine and those situations early on when he was dating Jennifer Lopez. But now you have a situation where you're going to see indictments come down, and we're going to see multiple people. I don't think it's just going to be Sean. I think he's going to try to make some type of deal to get less sentences. He probably knock off a couple of drug dealers because he's always been known to get his butt out of trouble by any means necessary. Some people who came up missing, I mean, they're probably going to have information on that as well. But the incident that took place in LA at the recording studio, which they said was a drive-by, that whole case, in my opinion, probably is going to be reopened. Now, that's subjective. I don't know the details specifically, but I'm pretty sure after the civil case with Rodney basically stating that he was there, that's a collaborating witness. So that means he lied on a police report. He misled them, and him or his son Justin was the armed shooter. So at this particular time, on this day, remember it, March the 25th of 2024, in pretty much Sean Combs' life is never going to be the same. This is not something he's going to be able to lawyer up and get out of. That's not going to happen. What I mean is he's going to have his day in federal courts now. And any video footage, any phones, any cameras, any type of recording devices in that house, that were brought down Epstein. Eventually, they got access to all those tapes. If Puffy got those tapes on his premises, the game's over. That's what brought down R. Kelly, collaborating footage. He was able to skate a whole lot, but there's going to be too many people financially you think about right now, he got cooks, he got chefs, he got groundkeepers, all of them out of work. You would say they temporary. If you're going to jail, they're not working. Those houses, I mean, whatever the payroll is, and if it's currently 3 to 5 million a year for all of these different people, from drug dealers to the parties he's hosting, to it's really now going to come down to pretty much for him cutting as many costs as he can, because he's gonna need the money for himself. He's gonna need it for his food ticket in jail, or we like to say his commissary. He's gonna need it for that going forward. And I don't have any doubt that they're gonna do everything they can to make sure they stop P. Diddy at this point. There's enough information out there, they're gonna stop him. So a lot of the women out there who are on IG, your paycheck is gone. I mean, this is maybe the way that you can change the way you're living. Do something different. Do something different. Decide to go out and change the way that you've been operating on your life. This is the report. Again, there's multiple raids right now. There's no information on his house in the U.S. Virgin Islands or his yacht. If he's out on his yacht right now, the Coast Guard, most likely, because this is collaborated between multiple states, interstate trafficking of sex, guns, drugs, and they got enough information to say it's time to go to collect the remaining evidence to put this guy away. This is CFS Studios News Report for the day. Signing off. Look forward to talking to you later about this as more information drops.